Video games are silly. Once you come to that realization, you'll be free to point out the stuff that just doesn't make any sense. Does it really matter? No, but it doesn't make it any less wacky or weird. We're here to talk about 10 Assassin's Creed game concepts that make absolutely no sense. Starting off at number 10, can we acknowledge how quickly your crimes will be forgotten just by tearing down like one wanted poster or giving money to, say, a town crier in Assassin's Creed 3? I mean, really, all it takes is one less poster of your face and then everyone in town instantly forgets your heinous crimes. Many of those crimes of which they may have personally witnessed, like you stabbing someone in the middle of the street. It is very much a perfect example of a video game mechanic that actually makes no sense when you really think about it. And while it may hold up in the game world, when you really think about it, it's just dumb. And honestly, I'm not buying it. But speaking of wanted posters, that does lead to my next point at number 9. Why put these wanted posters on the roof of a building? Who is that for? The guards and everybody, you don't even let people on top of buildings in the first place. Look, obviously because it's the designers knew you'd spend a lot of your time on rooftops, but it doesn't make it feel any less silly when you climb to pull a wanted poster off the top of like a hidden scaffolding. Think about it. How many times have you found a wanted poster up in a crevice somewhere off the street where no one would ever see it? First of all, who got up there to put it there and why did they put it there? I guess everybody in the world of Assassin's Creed just has a very simple one-track mind and they move from one thing to the next and immediately forget something once a new shiny thing is presented in front of them. That must be the case because it is so easy to make people forget about you. And at number 8, something from the earlier Assassin's Creed games that we have to acknowledge, like, look, you can climb every building in Constantinople, Venice, Rome, etc., but you really can't climb a single tree. This is from Assassin's Creed 1, 2, Brotherhood in particular. Like, these dudes can seriously climb massive towers with, like, their pinky finger, but they can't get on top of a tree if their life depended on it. This is a perfect example of video game bullshit. It doesn't really take me out of the experience, but when you think about it, it is worth a chuckle. Thankfully, of course, they changed this later on, where in Assassin's Creed 3, all you do is climb in trees. And then thankfully from then on, they translated the fact that you can climb trees in basically any game. And at number 7, let's talk about guns, a video game staple that the Assassin's Creed series didn't really try to avoid for very long. God forbid we have a game that just has swords in it, right? Swords are boring. Let's compare the Assassin's Creed 2 games to the Assassin's Creed 3 games. A prototype pistol from the 1400s is quicker to reload at like roughly 1 second than a pistol from the 1700s, which takes closer to like 5 seconds. What happened there? I mean, it might be a game design limitation, but still, you would think that one semi-fictional gun thing invented by the in-game Leonardo da Vinci would take more than a second to reload, right? You'd think back then some experimental prototype gunpowder weapon would basically just explode on his wrist, right? Turns out it's an easy, quick reload and you can shoot people with reckless abandon. But by the 1700s, once everybody got their hands on guns and most people were using guns, you're stuck with this unwieldy flintlock pistol that feels like it takes an eternity to reload. The amount of times I've been stuck in the middle of a battle with my ass out while I'm frantically mashing the R1 button to reload my dumb pistol, it's really, really frustrating, especially if you got used to using the wrist pistol so much in the earlier Assassin's Creed games. And at number 6, let's talk about the bad guys and what they really do. While some of them don't totally come off as bad guys in the game, chances are most of them are basically aligned with the Templars no matter what you think. What we found kind of silly is the fact that bad guys can kill people openly and in public often. You know, there was that original villain from the original Assassin's Creed game in that cutscene who kills a dude in cold blood, and no one cares.
What I do for Arcret! No!
Guards, soldiers, and enemies can engage you or others out in the street with no problem, with no reaction to people in public, but the second you kill someone, everyone freaks out. It's a bit of a double standard if you think about it, right? Leave the assassin alone, let him do his job. And at number 5, something we noticed, Edward Kenway can swim for surprisingly long periods of time when diving. You know those diving sequences where you swim around avoiding sharks and looking for treasure? But then when it comes to actual stealth swimming to hide and duck below enemies, whether it's an AC4 or any AC game, the main character can only hold their breath for like a few seconds. While diving underwater, Edward Kenway can hold his breath for like what seems like minutes. Sure, there are those barrels that you can pop in to get more oxygen, but he can still hold his breath for a long goddamn time. But when his life is on the line and he's trying to hide from an army of guards that's chasing him down, him and all these other Assassin's Creed characters suddenly forget to hold their breath. I don't expect them to be Olympic swimmers, but they should be able to hold their breath a little longer. You know, maybe I should consider them to be Olympic swimmers, seeing how well they climb buildings, but that's a whole nother story. And at number 4, since we're already ragging on Assassin's Creed 3, I will admit it is the easy one to pick on. Let's talk about Connor for a minute. This is something I don't understand. Connor's original Native American tribe name was Radonagaden, but then when he's instructed to go into town and deal with the colonists and stuff, there's this whole story thing where he takes up a new name,
Connor.
so that people don't really pick up on the fact that he's Native American or any other race that isn't really white. And he does that in order to hide and blend in, but yet he still wears Native American looking clothes. Sure, he still wears a semi-military looking cloak, but he adorns that with a bunch of Native American stuff, and he runs around with a tomahawk. Dude, I'm sorry, that's not how you blend in. I think you either gotta commit one way or the other. It's just some wacky character design because they wanted him to be a hidden element in the cities, but they still wanted to make him look cool because Assassin's Creed characters have to look cool. And I get that, whatever. But at number 3, let's talk about climbing and the amount of time NPC civilians on the street see you climbing on rooftops and running around, and they suggest with a voiceover saying you're crazy or drunk. How many times have you been climbing and you hear a guy go, oh, he's probably drunk? It's funny because meanwhile, while they're making those astute observations, you're defying gravity and frickin' performing feats of skill and athleticism. Yeah, okay, definitely drunk. That dude just scaled a 5-story building. He's totally hammered. If I could do what Ezio or Altair or the Fry twins or whoever does while drunk, I should win the Pulitzer Prize. And at number 2, let's talk about the naval battles, specifically in Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag and Assassin's Creed Rogue. 2 games which I think are absolutely fantastic, and I really think the pirate formula was some of the best stuff Assassin's Creed has had, but something about it doesn't make sense. Like, how exactly do you repair your ship mid-battle? You know, you're blasting around with a bunch of other ships in a big, long, drawn-out naval battle, and then in the middle of a battle, you board one of those ships, engage in one of those whole boarding fight sequences, and then you win, and you get to use their resources to quote-unquote refill your ship's health and heal it. So you mean to tell me in the middle of a huge firefight, you managed to board one ship, steal all their shit, and then use all those materials and wood and lumber to repair your ship instantly and keep battling? Look, I know it's another thing where it's a gameplay mechanic that you have to just get past the realism thing, but the point of this video is just to point out dumb shit like this, and that's really dumb. And at number 1, let's talk about the big one. The point that I've seen everyone make, I've seen so many people complain about. It's just the fact that guards can forget or not even notice a heavily armed man in a fancy white hood that looks like no one else on the street. Look, if you know there's an assassin around or you just finished trying to chase one down, and then you walk past a guy holding 3 swords, a battle axe, and a white hood covered in blood, but he's just sitting on a bench hanging out, chances are that's probably gonna be the guy you were looking for. It's funny, the whole Assassin's Creed thing is built on blending in with the crowd and kind of moving through the crowd to your advantage, yet you're the loudest dressed dude around. Like, you look like a target and people can see you coming. I know you have a hood to conceal your face, but other than that, compared to the drab, brown, plain looking NPC civilians around you, you look like a cosplayer. That is ultimately one of the biggest things about the entire Assassin's Creed series to us that just doesn't make sense. It doesn't make us hate the game at all, but it's funny to point out. But speaking of things that don't make sense, we talked about what doesn't make sense in Assassin's Creed, but now we want to hear from you guys in the comments if there's anything you've come across in the Assassin's Creed games that just straight up don't make any sense. If you got any weird observations or anything about these fun, awesome, and really silly games, let us know in the comments. We definitely want to hear from you. If you like this video, clicking the like button helps us out a ton. But if you haven't already, clicking the subscribe button is a good idea because we put out videos like this every single day. But as always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.